Welcome to Playful Podcast, your guide into the underground scene where we discover topics on kink and electronic music every week. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on our next episode. In this episode, we're speaking to sex worker and former sugar baby, Madame Lefer. We speak about how she got started as a sugar baby and what things she wishes she knew before. We also speak about trafficking, as that's something she became a victim of at an early age, why she today chooses to be an independent sex worker, and why being a sugar baby isn't as glamorous as it's presented on social media. Let's get to it. I am Amanda, and this is Playful Podcast.
For me, as a former victim of human trafficking and now liberated independent sex worker, it's not the same. First of all, human trafficking is not forced sex work or something. It is slavery.
This episode is brought to you by Lustery.com. For you people out there who are watching porn and are interested in couples filming themselves, we highly recommend Lustery. Lustery is a sex-celebrating platform that is creator-centered, which means that all content is filmed by real-life couples and edited by Lustery's experienced editing and post-production team. But at Lustery, 100% of the content is ethically produced, with consent from all parties. And the couples are fairly paid, and it's not based on clicks. What I like about Lustery is watching the couples lust for each other and knowing that they enjoy filming themselves. It's no script, no acting, no one telling them what to do, but simply them feeling it on camera. It's basically as genuine as it gets. When I stumbled upon Lustery, I still lived in Sweden and had never met any people behind the platform, but was simply just intrigued by it, and I don't actually even remember how I found it. Today, on the other hand, I have met the founder and many of the couples, and I can honestly say that I love the community behind it. They are passionate about doing things better, more real, and to give people a better sex life by introducing new and fun ways of having sex through other couples' ways of enjoying it. They care for real connections and intimacy, and it's a space where one can explore sex without censorships. The content you find on Lustery is unique, and there are hundreds of videos to dwell in, either alone or together with your partner or partners, and they are all available on Lustery.com, where new content is uploaded about every day in various categories and length and formats. So if I were you, I would take the day off this maybe rainy day and try out Lustery by myself or together with a partner and just make this day more colorful and amazing. So go ahead and go to lustery.com/playfulmagazine to get 20% off your subscription and have an amazing sex life. So we're going to speak about sugar babies, and this is something you have experience in, which is super exciting to hear more about. Can you tell us first what it means to be a sugar baby?
Okay, a sugar baby means actually to be like a girlfriend, but for a temporary time. It's not like, okay, we're in a relationship, but it's like, okay, we meet then and then. This is what I offer you. This is what I wish. And for this amount of time, I'm this person's girlfriend. It's like more, not only about the sexual thing, it's also more focused on the emotional connection and doing things together. For example, traveling or having dinner or going to the opera, having a nice evening cooking.
Doesn't sound so shabby, but let's find out more soon.
Of course, sexuality is also a big topic, but it's a bit more complex.
All right. So you must also be sexually involved?
You don't have to. I think this is in general a very difficult thinking many people have, that if you get paid for something and a special amount of money, that you have to do something. You don't have to. You still have your boundaries, which are to be respected. So it's like a normal dating. Communication is the key and comprehension is the goal.
Well said. Okay.
if we go back in time a little bit, like, who are you as a teenager?
Every parent's nightmare. So I grew up in a very conservative Muslim family. My mom wears hijab, and I was, totally like this. And I always been the rebel one, and
You have siblings?
3, and I'm the oldest one. It was a lot of oppression in my family, actually, through cultural differences, and I was way more European than they are, and they had a different vision of my future than I had. I didn't had one, but I was definitely sure it's not this what they had in mind. So, I was always pretty much sexual.
You always felt very sexual.
Yes, I was always super interested in, especially because it was forbidden for me. So of course it got even more interesting to me. So yeah, I always risked a lot. I was very curious. I always tried to find out everything I wanted to know, especially about the body, and yeah, just
Okay. So did you feel that you had to like discover that on your own then?
everything.
Yeah.
Like everything I became today is I had to work it on myself. Like there wasn't no one who told me, okay, what are boundaries? How do I look for someone, or how do I protect myself for sex, or what is okay, or that's nothing to be ashamed about, to be playful or to have sexual desire, because everything in the environment I was living in was very much full of shame and judgment. And it was like, you're a woman, you're a girl, behave like a lady. Yes, so
So how did you first then like get in contact with sugar eating?
so I moved out quite early when I was 14.
Wow.
So I was in a boarding school then, kind of, but gave me more a vibe of foster home. And I spent a lot of time there, and this is the place where I started to discover my sexuality. And of course, internet, television. At the end, you had somewhere, everywhere, connection to sexuality, or I don't know how I really got there. I was just, maybe it was like for many people, the movie Pretty Woman, which is too much dreams and totally unrealistic, completely, and super toxic.
In what ways do you think it's
I
toxic?
never saw it like this, but since I do sex work and I know my own rates and how much work it's behind, he's definitely not paying enough. Sorry, but nah, it's a huge red flag because he pushed her rate so much down in the movie. I would never do this kind of work for this amount of money. So,
Interesting. I haven't seen this movie in so long, actually.
yeah, me too. But I actually discussed just like 1-2 months ago with another sex worker this movie, and we both were like, not feeling so comfortable about the circumstances. Like, nah.
How was your first encounter with the sugar daddy?
I don't know. I was super nervous, and you have these fantasies, like, oh my god, I'm going with him on super luxury vacation.
How did you meet?
There are many platforms, actually.
So you started to go on the platform.
Yes.
Okay.
I was like,
Did you have a friend or someone who introduced you to sex work?
I actually found it all by myself. Maybe it was sometimes very dangerous, and also I didn't do so much research and stuff, which I really not recommend to do like I did, because there are very much difficult situations and very dangerous people. sex work is work, but there are also people who not have good things in their mind, like human trafficking and stuff like lover boys, which are people who try to seduce you in an emotional um, connection, and then they try to manipulate you and use you. So it's
Did you meet people like this?
Yes.
What happened then?
I think I would like to keep it for myself.
Yeah, fair enough. But it was intense, I bet.
It was very intense, yes. But it's a lot about getting to know each other, and as much you get in contact with people, you recognize how many people just talking and they're just using your time. It's really difficult to find someone who's honest about it and is aware about the concept of sugar dating. And I think I would have loved to know what a salt daddy is. So
That's a new word.
yes. So there are sugar daddies. We know what a sugar daddy is. And a salt daddy is someone who tells he is a sugar daddy, but he's not. He's just a time waster and someone I would call a keyboard wanker, because they ride with you and then they wank and masturbate and they just block you then.
Oh, and there's a lot of those
Yes.
fishes in the sea.
In sugar dating and in normal sex work, plenty of them. Every people think, okay, being a sex worker is super luxurious and you only have to meet them, but the time that you spend in front of a laptop or whatever and just communicating with them and just fishing the one who is serious from, separating them, that takes a lot of work.
Yeah. So how come you, how many years did you do it for?
The very first time was 4 years ago, I think, when I started seriously. But since this year, I started to do a living from it. So
For the first time?
yeah, not for the first time, but completely saying, okay, just focusing on this. I want to make my passion to profession, and I did it. So
okay, but how come you continued?
Even though,
Yeah, exactly.
so I continued. It took me actually 1-2 years. 1-2 years until I healed the wounds, and I got over it somehow. Well, it means got over it. It's difficult to get over something that crossed your own personal boundary so much. But at some point, I was like, I had a completely transformation in general with my healing journey and everything. And I just realized that I'm not my trauma and I'm not what other people did to me. And it doesn't define my worth, or it has nothing to do with the situation, because it was something personal from the other person, It was their behavior and it has nothing to do with me or, what I'm doing.
Or your
So-
self-worth.
Yes, definitely. And then I was like, okay, fuck off. I just go back because I won't allow them to still control me. I've been a victim, but I'm not anymore. And so, slay.
Did you go to therapy?
Yes.
So that helped a lot with finding your inner strength, or
I think everyone should go to therapy if they need or not, because it's never wrong to talk with someone who's not involved emotionally in any situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think it's not only about therapy. Of course, therapy is super important, but you also have to do the shadow work and to do the work with yourself alone, right? You have to sit down and then have to reflect on the things you talk about in therapy and sit down and have to see, okay, where is my role in the situation? Not blaming myself as a victim, but for me, it was like, okay, where do I have to take care the next time? what were red flags for me?
What are some red flags
What are red flags?
for you now, like that you have learned that you now look out for when it comes to sugar
Too much
daddies?
communication, like over communication. Of course, it's important to find out what does my partner, sugar daddy, whoever, what does he or she wants, and what do I want. But like some people really communicate into the detail what they want to do in the date, and that's a huge red flag for me, first of all. Or if someone tries to play with my rates, like trying to push them down, it's a huge, huge red flag. I mean, I don't go to a therapist and tell them like, well, I can't afford you so much. Can we maybe make a discount because I can't pay so much? You don't do that. Or if people say something like, oh, you're so beautiful, I would love to meet you in private. You know, yeah, eye rolling, exactly.
Yeah.
It's such a red flag. Or the typical, very famous, I want to save you type of person. Like, oh, you don't have to do this. You can quit it. And I
want to
can
save you.
Yeah, I want to save you. I can help you to make the money that you deserve. I can be your mentor. This is how I can pay you. Also, a huge red flag. Yes.
I can be your mentor. What do they mean? What
Yeah,
do they want to teach
I can
you?
teach. Yeah, that's the point. It's like exactly just mansplaining and trying to explaining me life and how everyone function yes, it's really ridiculous. Because also I experienced a lot in my life and I've been through a lot and I'm good with myself and my experience. I don't need someone who explains me how the world function. I just try to do money with something I love to do like everyone else does. So please don't waste my time or go.
So you also do love what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the best part then? would you say?
I'm a giver. I love to give. I love to give unconditionally. I don't expect so much from people because I think I actually get so much from giving when I see how people enjoy. Um, Also because I love to provide a safe space for whoever is with me and that they can be whoever they want to be and be as vulnerable. And it's so beautiful to see them blooming. Like when you meet them the first time, you wait like 15, 20 minutes and they have like a glow up and they come like. And it's sometimes even more for me than everything else too. And the gratitude that you get from them afterwards. And I also had clients who brought me flowers or brought a nice bottle of champagne or wrote me poems. And it's like,
And it feels like you can stay safe now.
yes,
Or like, yeah.
definitely, because I trust myself, first of all. And it's also super important to have a backup for safety. Like that someone knows where you are roundabout and you have somehow a concept that you're safe, you know, like where am I and how long does it take, and because trust is important, sure, but in this case safety is definitely much more important. And we have a big sex worker community in Berlin, which is super supportive, and we talk a lot with each other if we don't feel good or need help in something or we need a backup. So
It feels like like being a sugar baby is something that has been brought up a lot recently. Like it feels like it's a topic that you hear a little bit light-winded. Like I think it's also because of OnlyFans that it's like a little bit a fairy tale, you know? That's how I have been like hearing about it. I see these TikTok videos with people who are like, well, what did you get from your sugar daddy? I got this house, I got this car, you know, these kind of stories. What's the reality like, would you say?
First of all, I would love which platform she used or which where she got these people. Because yeah, for me it's a fairy tale as well. Of course, I had days with two, I think until now, two guys who are generous, two or three guys. Mm, but in general, it's a lot of fantasy and romanticizing, and because it's not that easy. It's so much. You're just like overwhelmed with the choices, and they are not ready to just give you like a house. When you open their profiles, mostly they're right. I don't pay in advance. I don't pay you more than this and that. I don't pay you. I don't want to have a spoiled girl or whatever. And I have to admit, in many profiles, I can read so much misogyny from the men about like, I don't want to have girls with made lips, too much makeup, blah, 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 judging them. And I'm like, who are you to judge? If it's not your type, fair enough. But who are you? Like, who hurt you that you have to compensate so much hate? And it's very weird because they're also on these platforms. So it's kind of hypocrite. But it's not that easy as everyone thinks. So this is why I also take a lot of distance currently to sugar dating, because it was too much time, too many dinners I had which weren't paid at all, too much time wasted with people I really didn't want to listen anymore, because some of them were very delusional also in their per like the wishes of the construct, like 500 euro per month and meeting 4 times a month. And I'm like, nah. So I really took distance from it because it really stressed me out and it destroyed for me a lot. Especially, I felt like it affected my connection to men because I just got annoyed. I really got annoyed by the audacity.
Do you feel that they had some similar personality traits, these men, somehow?
To what?
Like, to each other?
I don't think, because every person is so individual and have their own background and have different needs and wishes. So I don't believe so much in stereotypes. So
Yeah, so you think it's a myth? Because when the stereotypes you hear about, like for when it comes to sugar daddies, is that they're usually a little bit older, usually very, very rich, have a lot of free time, you know?
it's very interesting because it's mostly the opposite. They mostly sugar date because they don't have this much free time. So they can't commit into a relationship, for example, because they just can't. Being a emotional available partner, or they just don't want to, or there's so many reasons. But also the stereotypes that they have to be old. Nah.
I guess the old thing comes with like getting more money or having more money.
Yeah, but I get it. Like I also heard about these, and I also had them before I was trying, and I was like going into this world, but it's not at all like this. You can't say if they're married or not, if they have family or not, why they do it, which age they are, which work they do. You'll never know. And sometimes it could be like, the guy who looks like the neighbor, like the boy from next door, you would never expect.
We're not going to speak so much then about the backside of it, as that is something you prefer to leave outside, beside, like leave this interview, leave out on this interview.
Yes.
But what are some fun stories that you've been, or like what are some, fun stories you've been experiencing as a sugar baby?
As a sugar baby or sex work general?
Sugar baby.
Okay. Okay. I had this one guy I've been dating sometimes for 5 months or something. And he always paid me, and I came to his place. He cooked for me dinner and everything. He paid me always in advance, very polite. Everything was structured. It felt very comfortable. We also had a very nice emotional connection. It was very, very cool to spend time with him. I really enjoyed it. I even left my place sometimes at 12 p.m. for him because I was like, yeah, fuck, why not meeting now? But we never had sex. Like, because he preferred, like, I'm a very natural person. Like, he enjoyed it to drink whiskey from my armpits.
Oh, he was into body hair.
Yes, but especially if I wasn't showering.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was...
So he asked you to not shower.
Yes. Every time I met him, I knew I'm not allowed to shower.
For how long? For how many days?
For 1 day was okay.
1 day is okay.
Yes,
Okay,
1 day
that's
was
good.
okay because I told him, wow, I don't feel so comfortable with. And also he was slightly submissive, which I like.
Yeah. Does it make you feel more comfortable when you're in control?
I'm a switch actually. And I practice kink even earlier before I practice sex work in general. I would never offer bottom services, like to be a submissive, because from my opinion, it's very difficult to create for myself an environment in which I feel comfortable to let go. But I'm more than happy to guide people, like especially newbies or something, into their kink or fantasies. Also love mental kink, like I'm practicing currently a lot of hypnosis kink.
Wow, how does that work?
So it's actually a lot about practicing more, and it's mostly verbal. It's not like the show hypnosis everyone knows.
The watch.
Yes, it's like not like, and then boom, you can do this, but that's not how it's supposed to be, because you have a way how you get slowly into it. You have to build a connection. Then you have the main part where you put the person, for example, in a fantasy, or you're able to, for example, someone has a latex kink. I can put them into hypnosis that they are completely covered in latex, for example. And then you have to get them back. That's like a whole procedure. It's not like in the show you put them in and then back, boom. It's also quite stressful for the body at some point. So I really try to distance myself from all these.
But what are some things you wish you knew about being a sugar baby before you got started?
Definitely this with the salt daddies. I think, yes. I think I would have saved so much more time. And I was so many times so disappointed and sad and angry because I put so much, also, I try to be as authentic as possible because I don't like to play a role. And why should I? I don't like, it also takes too much energy from me. And then you always put this emotional effort and you dress off like emotionally and you strip, down. And then it doesn't work at all. And it again and again and again. I don't know how many dinner I had with douchebag who just tried to get a dinner and tried to get me into the bed without paying me. Like, I wish I would have known it before. Like how to
Handle
sense
it,
them.
sense it, read
Yes.
them, or
Or like to recognize them. As soon as someone writes too much and try to avoid the money question and how they think sugar dating should look like, or how we call it arrangement, if they try to avoid this question or ask you, oh, how do you think?
it's a warning
I'm
sign.
yes.
But does your family know about your profession today?
I don't have contact anymore with them. I'm completely alone, which has its advantage.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I have my own family now. I have wonderful best friends, and I don't feel like that I miss a biological family. And they support me, and no matter how crazy my ideas are or whatever, they're always supportive. But actually, my biological family found out what I'm doing. And I also got a mail because of it, an email to my
From them?
work's email address. It was very shocking for me, but I reached a point in my life where I totally understand that the problems of other people are not my problems, and I won't make them to mine.
Yeah. Did your relationship to your family end because of your work? No.
It ended because I wanted to, and I left
Yeah.
them. Yes.
Yeah. But they could not accept it.
No. At some point we had then, like, first time we had a breakup, then we had contact again because I wanted to forgive my mom, for example. And then I broke up again because I felt like, okay, now I have my peace. Now I can let go. Now I can live in peace and can reparent myself and be the mother for myself I needed, right? So I'm quite free with, and it feels so empowering to be a sex worker actually, and to do this what everyone tells me is wrong to do.
Yeah. Do you feel that your view on sex work has changed over the years, like from when you got started until today?
Yes,
Yeah.
especially through this difficult experience I had in the beginning. I had a bit weird view on it, but the more time passed, and the more I healed, and now I'm practicing it very empowered and very self-liberated. And now I see it completely as a care work. It's super important. It is healing work. And I think sex workers are superheroes. Because I'm always also fascinated by myself how fast I can create a very authentic intimacy with someone I just met. And I think even though it's sometimes very, very still, I struggle myself sometimes still with judgment, or I sit there and I'm totally anxious. I'm like, is it really what I should do? Is it a real job? Like, because this internalized misogyny and everything is so deep rooted. But still, I keep going because it makes me happy and it gives me freedom. I can do what I want because I'm an independent sex worker. I don't have any agency. I'll do it all by myself. And it's like, yeah, I have as much sex as I want to because I want to. It's my decision. And it changed me completely because I learned so much more to set my boundaries. I learned so much better to communicate. Also, my dating skills improved through sex work because I really take less bullshit.
Yeah. Do you feel that you are a better human and no, like you can read people easier also?
I think I always could because I'm very empathic and high sensitive, and through my past, I had to in order to survive somehow alone. Um, but I got more empathic, even more. and less judgy even more. It's like my horizon expanded so much, and I didn't know it's even possible because I was already very, very open minded. And I'm so grateful also for the community, which is very, they stay together.
The
And
community you have in Berlin.
yes.
So when being a sugar baby, I guess there are, like, are there any, how do you work with rules? Are there any rules that you set up beforehand, or how does it work?
Definitely, yes. So, it's like a normal dating, or if you're having kink, a play date, you know, like before you meet or you start to play or to fuck. Consent is sexy. So you talk about what do I want, what I don't want, and it's like it's okay to have taboos, and it's super fine to say no. And in case someone ever tries to talk about your boundaries or try to change them or not accepting your no, or even if you're in a date and they do it, like overstepping your boundary, don't accept it. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to leave. And it's super, super important to take the money in advance when you have the date.
Pro tip.
Yes, it's rule number one. Okay, number two, rule number one is safe call. But yeah, it's totally okay and important to talk before, because it doesn't make sense to meet someone if they have any wishes or kinks or fantasies you can't fulfill, because at the end you won't be happy, and the other person as well.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
this is not what's about, you know?
But as a sugar baby, just in any profession, there is a boss or the person who's giving you the money and who's having the money. Do you said you always take them beforehand, so that's definitely a way to control your own power. Your power is taken away from you.
Oh no.
No.
For me, I think, in my personal opinion, sex work is the most feminist work I could do. Um, Also, it's for me very funny because for me, gender is very fluid. And in sex work, I'm super, super, super fan, and I enjoy it very much. And I never had, after this very traumatic experience, the feeling that the power is taken away from me. There is no boss than myself. And the man has nothing under control because still I do. It's like in kink, you know? People think the top is having control, but
It's the sub.
yes. And it's the same for sex work. Like, it's you who gets vulnerable. You offer them your time, you offer them your dedication, your passion. And there, I have the feeling that in private dating, my boundaries got more overstepped than in sex work and sugar dating. Because, especially in sex work, I have the feeling that my clients mostly wait for a smile, enthusiastic smile, or a nodding, or that I come a bit closer. Like, it's much more.
Subtle communication.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Yes, because they're more okay. Like, people take it much more for granted if you know each other.
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Hmm.
I have this one question that may be completely off the wreck. I just came up with it now. So, and you let me know if you don't want to speak about it, if it's like, you know. But I just thought about, because I have not been talking really about the because you were also mentioning a little bit about trafficking. And can you, some people I know are, they don't really make a difference between trafficking and sex work. They think they flow together, and that, you know, and how, my question is, how can, how do they separate, and how can you as a sex worker, make sure you don't end up in those situations?
Okay, so I think you have the right person here, and for me, as a former victim of human trafficking, and now liberated, independent sex worker, it's not the same. First of all, human trafficking is not forced sex work or something. It is slavery. It is modern slavery. First of all, the other one is work, is independent work, and it is very important to understand this, because as long we put it in the same shelf, it will always be a topic.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very dangerous because we romanticize it.
I was also thinking about some people mean that if you legalize sex work, trafficking is gonna grow. It's gonna become, or like if you legalize sex work, it's gonna be easier to traffic
It's
women.
completely separate, like different.
The opposite.
Completely. Okay, so the difference is human trafficking is not sex work, first of all. This is modern slavery. And everyone who says is the same is disrespecting every victim of human trafficking, and is also romanticizing definitely this kind of cruelty. And if we continue to say this and try to push sex work in the background, it will always go even more down in the illegal underground, because we produce a dependency, you know? And if we need to hide, and it's not about legalizing sex work, it's about decriminalize. And there is a huge difference. And it's, I don't know why people say this. It's my body and my choice to say that I want to earn my money with sex. And at the end, we're all whores and selling our bodies and time. And it's true, sorry, not sorry, to break some illusions, but it makes me very angry because they are all talking about feminism and that everyone should decide for their own body. But why do we make why do we stop in the choice of our work? It's just hypocrisy, and it's very, very dangerous.
Yeah. So you believe that it's easier to escape becoming a victim of trafficking if sex work is legal
Because you get more support, of course.
or
I've-
decriminalized?
Yes, because I've been in both situations, and it's not that easy how people think. You can't just like, oh wow, now we're making it illegal and now it's gone. You just don't see it anymore. And this is
And the people who are seeing it are the ones who already are like down below society. And they are
This-
already the ones who are involved with trafficking. So
and that's a big, big problem. I mean, it's my body, my choice, and it's no one else's business what I do with it. And it's, yeah, it makes me every time a bit angry because people don't know how hurtful it is to be in a situation like human trafficking and to come from there. And now I'm back and I made it, and I feel so empowered in it. And actually, it helped me healing a lot, the human trafficking.
when we are young and vulnerable, we are looking for like many people have difficulties within their family and they're looking for comfort, just being able to like stand solid on your own ground and finding your own ways, and we're trying it. We don't know have so much experience, so it's just like for so many. I mean, it feels like it can easily happen.
It can, but that's the problem. The people make us to hide in the shadows, and as long we have to, and we don't talk about it, we can't
of the podcast
talk about these
Patreon,
topics.
You get to listen to
So
Madame
we need
Lefebvre's
an open
stories
communication
on what it's
to
like
educate.
to be a sex worker. She tells us some
And we
funny
don't.
things
And I
that
ask
happen
myself,
to
what
her
are we
and
afraid
they at
of?
work, and much more.
Why?
Go to patreon.com/Playful
We're people like
magazine.
everyone else.
Yeah.
This was
right?
it for
How
Playful
do you think
Podcast
people
this
from
week, but
the
please follow,
outside
subscribe,
can
and listen to our
find
next
out
episode.
if a person
And if
is
you want to have a say about future artists,
a victim
or
to
even ask
trafficking,
your own question
like
to one
how
of our
can they-
guests,
how
follow
do-
us on
do one
Instagram and make
notice that?
sure to add your question when we lift our coming
I
guests.
think I can't
Thank you
give
so
an
much for
answer to this
joining, and see you
question
next
because
week.
it's too complex.
Yeah.
And this is such a highly psychological process, partially, that I really don't want to give an answer.
No.
Because I don't want to
No,
make
of
someone
course.
right. But I think it's very important to just in general show, okay, I'm open and that I don't judge. Also, I think we just need more support from the government. We need more health support, more psychological support. And I mean, that there are some, but still not enough because we're many.
Going back to the topic of sugar eating, you don't do much of that anymore. Why?
Because it's just too stressful for me. Too many expectations, too many wishes for exclusivity.
And what is the backside of exclusivity?
That they say, for example, okay, if we're sugar dating, I'm the only one you're dating. And I'm like, nah.
No, okay, yeah. You feel then you are like controlled.
Yeah, I will never go exclusive. These are my boundaries. I got some offers which were like, wow,
What
crazy.
could that be?
Like, it depends. Everyone has their own rules, but in this case, were like a monthly allowance for like 5,000 euro per month. But I was like, nah,
No. Yeah.
because it's not the only reason why I'm doing this work. Because I just love to give. I also love to work with people with disabilities. I love to make people seen who are maybe shy and don't dare to date. And this 5,000 euros can't give me this, you know what I mean? So, it's also about experiencing again and again, getting in contact with other people, and I just love it. I need this exchange of power. It's for me very fulfilling. So I can't do this, and this is why I prefer normal sex work, because it's clear. This amount of time, this amount of money, this is what I offer. These are my taboos. These are the wishes of the person. We can always communicate, negotiate. And then it is like this. And it's
Yeah,
wonderful.
It's clear.
Yes, and I love it.
Yeah. All right. So what do you do more today? Would you say? Are you also into dominatory?
Yes.
Yeah, I was sensing it.
How come?
Not because your slave is in the other
Ah,
room.
nah. Yes. So I offer social dates as well, like going with people to business dinner, or just having normal dinner. Also had this one. I offer normal escort services, girlfriend experiences, and yes, dominatrix sessions.
What is most fun?
Oh, what means most? I think everything has their beautiful sides, but currently I really enjoy the girlfriend experience stuff and dominatrix. Very
Wow,
much.
thank you so much. I think
Thank you
I've covered it all.
too.
Is there anything you feel that I should we
Mm,
should get more into? I was thinking we were talking about the architects, but I don't know how to get in that, you know? I don't know what to ask to be talking more about
yeah.
that.
Also, I think it's a bit difficult to talk
Yeah,
about too much
probably.
details,
Yeah, but it's
right?
fun. It's always fun to listen to. You're like, you know?
Oh man, I mean, I could tell you 1, 2 stories from the sex work.
Do it,
maybe.
please. Yes.
For the bonus material, maybe.
Exactly. Let's go there.
Okay.
We have now come to the part of the podcast where, if you're a Patreon, you get to listen to Madame Lefebvre's stories on what it's like to be a sex worker. She tells us some funny things that happened to her and a day at work and much more. Go to patreon.com/playfulmagazine. This was it for Playful Podcast this week, but please follow, subscribe, and listen to our next episode. And if you want to have a say about future artists or even ask your own question to one of our guests, follow us on Instagram and make sure to add your question when we lift our coming guests. Thank you so much for joining and see you next week.